Thank you, Carol, Dave, Peter, Mitch. I have to tell you something about that picture. My friend Rock told you some secrets about me, but I have to tell you that seeing this photo, I have to expose my family's longest held secret. Clearly, that boy is the love child of Eddie Cantor and Betty Boop. I actually have a collection. Of elementary school photographs from PS 105 in the Bronx. And I don't know if you remember the generation of those photos, but we're always arranged by size. And invariably, I was one of the two boys sitting in the front row. In all of those pictures, I wore a clip-on bow tie and suspenders. Even those cheeks are pre-Botox. And I know that in this room, where you're trying to honor me, half of you are thinking, isn't he cute? And the other half are thinking, let's beat him up at lunch. But no one ever bothered. At a time when 13-year-olds roamed the streets of New York without fear, my friends and I would jump onto the subway, head into Times Square to browse magic shops, or go to Chinatown for dim sum, or take a bus to Fordham Road, where there is the nearest branch of the New York Public Library, and I could take out records. I'm talking vinyl records, thick covers and cardboard liners of Broadway musicals like Take Me Along, I'm sure you've heard of that one, the musical version of Eugene O'Neill's A Wilderness starring Jackie Gleason, or the great Robert Preston in the title role of, who can guess it? Ben Franklin in Paris. Who did that? I would take those albums home, and while my parents were out and my sister was having a normal social life, I played those musicals over and over, transforming myself in my head from Ben Franklin to Henry Higgins, from the Jets to the Sharks, from Andy Oakley to Nathan Detroit. And for the decade after that, even after I went to college, when my contemporaries were having their worlds turned upside down by Bob Dylan and the Rolling Stones, I was immersed in the world of Ethel Merman. I believe that for a time in the early 70s, I knew more Broadway musicals by heart than any other straight man in America. We all start our love affairs with our life's work in different ways. And over the past 30 years, the Huntington has introduced hundreds of thousands of young people to the theater. You heard earlier about director Liesl Tommy, and you saw playwright Kirsten Greenwich, who found their life's work in our theater, watching our stage. But hundreds of thousands of other young people simply, and I say simply, found their lives richer, and their vistas widened, and their skills sharpened, and their understanding of others deepened by what they saw, along with millions of other theatergoers on the Huntington stages. Despite the propaganda of the evening, I did not make these things happen. You did. Those of you in this room who have, by your commitment of time and talent, and yes, your money, have enriched the lives of so many for so long. I have to thank you for the privilege you have given me of a life spent doing something that I love. My parents did that, not Eddie and Betty, but Jimmy and Goldie. Yes, that was their names. My sister Beverly is here from New York with her husband Charles, and Beverly and I share that singular bond of parents who gave us unconditional love and complete support for everything we did. Lisa and our sons Alexander and Graham are here, and I must start by thanking them for never begrudging me the time away from home, nights for performances or weekends or trips away when the theater called. I married someone who has supported me ferociously, with ferocity. Ferociously is how Lisa does everything. She has never lost the capacity to surprise me or to make me laugh. We're still having fun. We're still having fun, and she has made me a much better person than I was 30 years ago. And together, we are really proud to be sitting at that table with these two extraordinary young men. They're smart, they're funny, they're caring, they're single. That Alexander and Graham have turned out to be. I love you all. BU gave life to Huntington in 1982 because, in John Silver's immortal words, if BU can support a football team, it can damn well support a theater company. And I don't want to gloat, but the football team is gone. Thanks to Dr. Silver, thanks to Jerry Gross, who hired me in the fall of 1982 and helped guide the Huntington into independence. Thanks to our partners at BU, continuing important and critical partners, Dean Juarez, Vice President Peter Fiedler, and I know Jim Patos is here tonight. Thank you all. It matters enormously. Without the BU, the Huntington is not the same. Thanks to Peter Altman, who was critical in my hiring and served as the Huntington's first producing director for 17 years, a great partner and a great friend. Thanks to Nikki Martin for an extraordinary 8 years as artistic director following Peter. Nikki is still going strong as one of the funniest people and most talented directors in the American theater. And thanks, of course, to Peter Dubois. An extraordinary partner who is in demand as a director here and in New York and in London because he brings his incredible love of life and talent and charisma and a gift for collaboration to every setting, to every meeting, whether it's with the board or staff or the artists he loves and who love him back because he brings their best work to life. He's a little wild and a lot of fun and a joy to work with. And together, Peter and I have the privilege of working with the unmatchable staff of the Huntington, who every day bring their unique combination of passion and professionalism to bear on stage, in our shops, in the classroom, in our administrative offices. They are overworked and underpaid and do most of the work while a few of us get all the credit. And I fail almost every day in my determination to tell them how much they are appreciated. Thank you. Thanks to Marcia and Fancy for being such great co-chairs of this event. They are sharp and hardworking, demanding and ambitious. And if you weren't paying attention, they're drop-dead gorgeous. Thanks to you and the committee members who made this night happen. Thanks to our extraordinary team of trustees, overseers, and donors. Whether you take credit or you insist on being anonymous, who are so essential to the system we have established for creating new theater in this country. We've been blessed by great board leadership. You saw Dave Wimberly and Bill McQuillan in their very unique roles. And they passed the torch so gracefully last year to the extraordinary new leadership team of Carol Dean and Mitch Roberts. I teach a theater management course at BU, and I try to get my students to understand the miracle of the nonprofit theater board. What is it that convinces extremely busy and otherwise rational people to accept a responsibility that reduces time with their family, cuts into their work life, and costs them significant amounts of money as a condition of employment? The answer, I believe, is that each of you, board members, donors, has come to the realization that you have the power to make a difference in the world. That just meeting your own material needs, while necessary, is not sufficient. Some of you learned this lesson from your parents. There are many examples of generational leadership in this room. Some of you, all of you, will pass it on to your children and to those others who witness your service to others. The truth is, it does take a village, and the children we are raising includes BU students going into the theater and teenagers like Amos and Terrell, those extraordinary young people you saw before, and the hundreds of theater artists on our stages, and the dozens of organizations who use the Caldor Pavilion each year. I did a little calculation the other day, and figuring 5 days a week and deducting vacations and multiplying all that by almost 30 years, I came to the conclusion that I have now logged 6,873 work days with the Huntington. The question is, why am I still so far behind? And the answer is that we have so much more to do. So much more until we can say that the Huntington can fully support the artistic vision of Peter and his staff and his successors, before our schools can provide theater education for every child who wants it, before we can create an audience that truly reflects the great diversity of Boston, before we can truly say that the Huntington has the foundation necessary to guarantee that we will serve as a permanent cultural resource to our city and our nation. So while I am deeply grateful for the past 30 years, this is not a retirement party. I'm not done. And I can assure you that Peter is not done, and Carol is not done, and Mitch is not done, and we are so grateful to all of you in this room because we know that you will be with us on this journey. Now, the next step of our journey will begin tomorrow. But with enormous trepidation and with apologies to Yvette and Stephen and Joanna, I want to leave you tonight with a peek inside the mind of that boy in the bar mitzvah suit. Imagine that instead of a bearded 60-year-old Jew with a very expensive tie, you see before you a 13-year-old. A 13-year-old. You didn't get that? A 13-year-old boy in the Bronx, in his parents' living room. He's thrown his clip-off tie on the sofa. He lifts the phonograph record and finds the right groove and places the needle down on the disc and imagines, I'm just a Broadway baby, walking off my tired feet, pounding 42nd Street to be in a show. Broadway baby, learning how to sing and dance, waiting for that one big chance to be in a show. Oh, gee, I wanna be on that marquee. All twinkling lights, a spark that kisses the dark.
get to Washington Heights. Someday maybe all my dreams will be repaid. Heck, I'd even play the maid to be in a show. Hey, Mr. Producer, I'm talking to you, sir. I don't need a lot, only what I got, plus a tube of grease paint and a follow spot. I'm just a Broadway baby. If I stick it long enough, I may get to strut my stuff. Working for a nice man like a Dubois or a Weissman in a big